Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. The next 10 minutes are inspired by some haters. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the engine. I had a very interesting experience over the last week. So, what has happened is I've been doing a lot of educational podcasts, which are awesome, focused on talking to different candidates and talking with different people in the community to find out, look, what's the best thing we can do to help our kids? What are all the different sides? What are all the different perspectives? I spoke with every single candidate for the Board of Education. That includes the people backed by the Teachers Union or San Ramon Valley Educators Association, Servia, and it's not the reason I'm saying that it's not just the teachers. There are a lot of other employees, but it primarily represents the teachers as well. Now, spoke to those candidates, spoke to other candidates who were not in line with Servia, spoke to existing board members, spoke to a whole spectrum of people, including parents, absolutely. And there's one interview that happened, and it was no problem, and nobody really cared. And then one of the parents, Lorraine, afterwards was involved in some kind of snafu. Okay, now I'm not saying snafu to diminish Lorraine. What I'm saying is it was involved in a conversation with another person and people got very upset about it. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. Okay, I never said anything about my thoughts on Lorraine and her conversation. And the interview I had with Lorraine happened before her conversation with this other person. So I was completely removed from this entire thing. Lorraine, it would have been impossible for Lorraine and I to even chat about this particular experience because it happened days after I spoke to Lorraine. And again, the interview with Lorraine was very benign. We spoke about, her obvious positions on going back to school that she's outspoken and very proud of and has worked very hard to develop. She's a very well-educated individual, and she feels very strongly that there's a particular way to move forward. Fantastic. And by the way, I offered to talk to the people that don't agree with Lorraine. I offered the mic time to them and said, hey, I'd love to talk with you as well. They did not take me up on my offer. It is what it is. Now, the interesting thing is people got really upset about what Lorraine did. Not on my show, but later. They got very upset, went bananas. And that's fine. They can be upset at Lorraine. It's none of my affair. Lorraine and I are not in cahoots, and we didn't even discuss the experience that she had with this other individual. All of a sudden, I start getting these messages on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, anonymous people saying how horrible I am and how ashamed I should be at my behavior and aligning myself with Lorraine and all of these things. Some were anonymous, some were not. Some were people that just came out and said, like, it's disgusting, it's so deplorable, essentially. All of these things. And I kept telling them, hey, look, I don't communicate like this over social media. I don't do that. And they kept saying, well, this is terrible. I implore you, go check out this thing. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm like, look, if Lorraine has done something, you need to talk to Lorraine. What are you talking to me for? And it was obvious they wanted me to take down Lorraine's episode. Now, again, Lorraine's episode went off days before this conversation. It had nothing to do with the event that these people were upset about. It was literally just Lorraine and another friend of hers and myself talking. Not a huge deal. Not a huge deal at all, but it was to these people. They wanted to attack Lorraine. And they wanted to attack Lorraine and get her canceled, not because of the things she said on my show. They wanted to get Lorraine canceled because of her experience with these other people. And they weren't even talking to Lorraine about it. They were talking to me, the person who had nothing to do with it, and spoke with her on a podcast about something about a multitude of things, but things that had nothing to do with her experience with this other individual. And I, of course, refused. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take down the episode, and I wouldn't even engage in a dialogue with them. And then they started reviewing my show, saying it was a waste, saying it was terrible, saying I'm aligning myself and kowtowing to Lorraine and I'm, doing what her bidding and all of these things. And it it was a really interesting experience, and I was bothered by it for a little bit. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And I've been thinking really intensely about this for several days. And I knew it was important to me that I didn't do what these people wanted, what these anonymous, some straightforward people wanted. And, they're sending me messages on the side telling me I'm terrible and demanding I take down my posts that I put, essentially outing them and just saying, these people are giving me horrible reviews. It made sense to me, and I didn't know why, to refuse to do it. And it cost me, fine. But I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about why it mattered. Why didn't I just do it? I don't know Lorraine. I don't know her personally. That was the only time I ever met her. She and I have never seen each other. I couldn't have picked her out in a crowd if I'd tried. And I'm not aligned with her behavior. It's not like she and I spoke extensively or at all before she engaged with this other individual. I had no idea. It was brought to my attention after people started commenting on my page, telling me I should take this down. I didn't know any of this. It's none of my affair. But I kept thinking about what I talked to my students about. Because I talked to my students about knowing themselves, about taking responsibility for things. Whenever people come in and they don't have homework done, it's like, oh, well, this happened or this happened. It's like, look, I don't care. I don't care what happened. Nothing that happened matters to me. The only thing that matters to me is that your homework's done. And if your homework's not done, that's a thing, right? So you have to take responsibility for you. That's all that matters. And understand that your actions are yours. And that last part is the thing that keeps sticking with me. That I would emphasize to young people that their actions are theirs. And it's one of those small statements in passing that everybody's like, yeah, of course, my actions are mine. No, because this is what it actually works out to be. The people, the cowards that came onto my Facebook page, anonymously or otherwise, and started berating me and telling me that I should be ashamed of myself for what I've done, as if I had anything to do with Lorraine and this other individual. The people that were writing me messages in my direct message bin, telling me in my inbox, telling me I'm a terrible person and how dare I, and take down these things. And by the way, if I say anything about this was my favorite. If I say anything about the messages that they sent me directly, if I mention that at all on Facebook in the open, oh, they'll know. One woman actually said, trust me, honey, I'll know. As if I hide anything. I have conversations with people unedited and then post them out into the world for everyone to see. I am literally not hiding anything. And like I should be worried about this woman, but that's not it. These people came to me in various forms and attempted to get me to act in a certain way. Now, look, that's not uncommon, right? That's not crazy. But the thing that's crazy is that I kept thinking about it. I was like, why does this matter? Why does this matter? Why are people doing this? And why does it matter to me? Why is it still stuck in my head? I said no, I move on with my life. They gave me some bad reviews, whatever. But why does it matter to me? And it became very, very obvious. It matters to me because if I faltered for 1 second, if I did noodle with the idea of taking down this episode, I have to admit immediately to myself that my actions are not my own. And this is, again, a small point, but an enormous, enormous consequence. Think about it. If I can talk to whoever I want, I have Lorraine on, I have whoever on, it doesn't matter. I have people on, and people can actually persuade me through anonymous threats to take down the episodes, then are my actions really my own? Are they really mine? I can have on whatever guest I want until somebody complains, and then I have to take it down. Well, then literally, I am posting episodes. I am doing things, assuming to be an autonomous acting character in the world. I'm doing these things at the pleasure of these other people. I can do it as long as they're happy about it. But when they're not happy about it, I have to stop. I was thinking about that for days. I was like, wait, that's literally it. If I get to do whatever I want until somebody complains, and then I have to stop, then I don't actually get to do whatever I want. I have zero freedom. These people control me. And it doesn't matter what they do. They could write reviews, they could do whatever. If there's some button, if there's some nuclear button they could hit and get me to act in a certain way, like a little marionette, then I'm just that. I'm a puppet. I'm a puppet. It's unbelievable. I realized this. I realized the severity of what was going on. I realized the importance of my action, of my refusal. And thinking through it, it's one of those things when you realize, you're like, look, there is not a damn thing anyone could do to get me to remove my episodes. Because if I do capitulate, if I do give in to criticism, then I might as well admit right now that I don't have any free will anyway. That I'm only doing these episodes until somebody's not happy. And their displeasure with what I have done trumps all of the independent thought and action I have. There is nothing, not a damn thing, anyone can do to get me to stop doing these episodes. And for all the cowards that message me directly, that come onto my Facebook page, refuse to come onto my podcast, but have plenty of time to seek me out on my Facebook page, on my Apple podcast, on my YouTube page, in my inbox. I'm sure they've hit my Instagram. For the cowards that do that, I hope you enjoy doing it, because it will yield exactly zero results on my end. And hey, if I can be your entertainment for the day, if you just like writing snippy little things and thinking you're so damn clever, hiding behind your little anonymous profiles, have at it. Because guess what? It means less than nothing to me. There's not a damn thing you can ever do to stop me from making my podcasts. I'm Matt Todd, and this is the engine that drives me. Go out and crush it.